Bornova is a metropolitan district of Izmir in Izmir province in Turkey. It is the third largest district in Izmir's greater metropolitan area and is almost fully urbanized at the rate of 98.6%, with corresponding high levels of development in terms of industry and services. Bornova Center is situated at a distance of 8 kilometers to the northeast from the traditional center of Izmir and 5 kilometers from the coastline at the tip of the Gulf of Izmir to the west. Bornova district area is surrounded by the district areas of Manisa Center and Menmen to the north, Kemalpazar to the east, Buka to the south, and Kenakan Karsiyaka to the west, where the larger part of Izmir's urban area extends. Bornova is home to university's main campus, and for many at national level in Turkey, Bornova's name is synonymous with the university's hospital, one of the largest and the foremost medical centers in western Turkey since decades. Name and origins. During the Ottoman period, Bornova was called Barunabad, often rendered as Bornabad or Bornabat in Western sources. Although explanations as to how that name was composed vary, a number of sources seek the explanation in the Persian and Ottoman Turkish term birin, which means outer, exterior, abad being a suffix common to a number of cities across the Islamic world and which forms a place name when attached to the name of a person or to a proper name, such as Hyderabad or Islamabad, although befitting a settlement slightly outside a greater metropolitan zone. That the name of Barunabad is based on an adjective in Bornova's case makes an association with an earlier Byzantine name more likely. In fact, under the Byzantine and Nishan empires, the region was called Prinoborus, and was notable for being a source of considerable revenues for the Hagia Sophia from its attached properties here, and was for this reason alternatively known as Hagia Sophitica Kora. As such, Barunabad, Bornabat and now Bornova could be converted forms of this name. The recent discovery, within the boundaries of Bornova district, of Yeşilova Yük, on which the fieldwork continues, seems to indicate that Bornova's alluvial plain, fed by several small streams, was the site of the very first settlement by the Neolithic-Chalcolithic inhabitants of the region across present-day Izmir's metropolitan area. Administrative divisions. The municipality of Bornova was established in 1881 and the town became a district center in 1957. The incumbent mayor of Izmir Greater Metropolitan Municipality, Aziz Kosoğlu, was the mayor of Bornova before taking over his present office for the city as a whole. The urban area is divided into 36 officially constituted and delimited neighborhoods. Several unofficial denominations for neighborhoods are also in common use across Izmir and beyond to describe localities often with determined centers but vague boundaries, such as Altındag, 12 small villages, mostly located in the forested uplands around Mount Yamanlı and with a cumulative population of 6,354 as against the district total of 464,694. Depend Bornova Prefecture. According to the estimates made by the Izmir Chamber of Commerce, commuters and other people visiting Bornova on a daily basis could account for an additional 300,000 to be cumulated with the district population. 19th century Bornova and the Great Levantine mansions, with a total bed capacity of only 400 across the district, most of which is accounted by the suburb's single large hotel. The accommodation facilities are rather limited inside Bornova, and the hotels in Izmir's center is generally preferred for a night's stay. Despite that, visitors on a leisure tour are a common sight in Bornova's streets due to the town's historical center having been much in favor in the 19th century among Izmir's European and Levantine residents who left very visible architectural traces, in the form especially of the Levantine mansions of Izmir. Indeed, Bornova used to be a summer residence for many foreign consuls and wealthy businessmen fleeing the stagnantly hot weather in central Izmir to seek the cooler breeze of the slopes of Mount Yamanlı, the departure point of Bornova in its beginnings. This move by diplomats and the rich was at the very origin of the town's growth in the beginning of the 19th century, until which time Bornova used to be a small forestry village, recorded in Ottoman times principally in connection with the task of guarding the mountain passes leading to Izmir, which was assigned to its inhabitants in exchange of certain tax reliefs. Moves to Bornova during summer for a month or two had entered among the habits of Izmir's European, Levantine inhabitants since the preceding century, but while their rich increasingly opted to live here on a permanent basis, the city's Europeans, Levantines with more modest social conditions seem to have ceased to come to Bornova, even for the summer, by the 1820s. The mansions and residences built in the 19th century, most of which reached our day, restored and in public or private use, are usually still called under the prestigious names of the former owners, such as Whittle, Maltas, Patterson, Giraud, Edwards, Bilhomer, Panspanian. There is a small Catholic church named the Church of Santa Maria, in the main square of Bornova, and an Anglican chapel and Bornova Anglican Cemetery nearby, both dating from the 19th century, landmarks of Bornova's cosmopolitan past. Despite the obvious luxurious style of the residences they built, these new inhabitants did not always have lives in all comfort. The Saw observed in the course of the 19th century in a particular form of brigandage, sometimes interpreted as a form of social resistance and usually associated with FA tradition and with the coastal strait along the Aegean Sea as well as its valleys reaching inland, often had Bornova as its frontier land. A number of notorious cases of kidnapping involving brigands and the owners of these residences and high demands of ransom occurred on a frequent basis for almost 100 years. Bornova also made sports history in Turkey when the first football match ever held in the Ottoman Empire was played in Bornova in 1890 between British sailors on shore leave against young men of Izmir. Turkey's first athletic contest was also held in Bornova in 1895. Modern Bornova greatly extended in the last decades from its nest under Mount Yamanlı, where the historic and popular Turkish quarter of Erzin was juxtaposed by Levantine settlements, and covers today almost fully its surrounding plain. Formerly renowned for its fertility, that carries the same name as the district. The previous tangerine orchards, as well as the famed okra gardens synonymous with the town's name, which had a secure place among the dozen cultivars, traditional and commercial, of Turkey, were for the most part replaced by apartment blocks, and the notoriety of Bornova's okras are now taken over by those of Urla. The urban growth occurred the direction both of the seashore and to the east towards Kemalpazar, as well as to the south in Altın Dag Zone and Izmir-Aydın motorway. The population's growth rate reached as high as 30 to 35% in certain years. New neighborhoods consisting of block apartments were built rapidly, and some of these neighborhoods carry the names of the real estate developers who had initiated the construction boom, such as Özkanlar and Kamkiran. Bornova could nevertheless preserve its orderly outlook, with privately and legally built constructions and social housing projects keeping at pace with the increase in population, and very few slum-type residences, of which many boom towns across Turkey are still scourged with. Bornova district counts 147,037 residential buildings. On the other hand, a number of tragedies occurred in recent past due to delays in improvements along the river beds of the four streams that cross Bornova to join the Gulf of Izmir, while residences were mushrooming around these. Furthermore, two cement mills which were constructed and stone quarries which were opened in what was empty fields decades ago are now located next to residences, and the pollution caused by the former establishments is an ongoing issue of concern. Transports a square, more in the form of crossroads in roundabout slightly past the entry into Bornova coming from Manisa and which continues towards Izmir center, is the focal point of motor vehicle traffic in Bornova, with a university campus and large department stores extending to its south and residential areas served by smaller streets to the north. Bornova Center is served by a railway connection since 1867, initially by a branch line of Izmir-Kasabah Railway completed during the same decade. Bornova is currently the eastern terminus of Izmir's subway rapid transit line whose extension continues, and access to and from the city center, as well as between various localities of Izmir is relatively easy with either public or private transports. Since Izmir's central bus terminal, the huge İzzet-ot-as in Altındağ Quarter where an estimated 50,000 people arrive or depart each day, as well as the road junctions connecting Izmir and the regions to its south, to Istanbul, Ankara and the rest of Turkey, are located within the boundaries of Bornova. Intercity connections are made relatively easy. Education: Bornova counts 80 primary schools and 102 kindergartens. At secondary level education, there are 19 high schools and 22 professional schools. The figures for the student and teachers corps are shown in the table. The average student per teacher ratio obtained, with primary education the most congested at 25.5%. correspond to rather comfortable levels compared to many cases across Turkey. Higher-level educational institutions are assembled under the very large structure of a university, which brings together 11 faculties, 7 institutes, 6 higher education centers and 7 higher professional schools and 25 research centers. The university had 42,693 students and 2,895 academic staff in 2007. Its campus is also an important center of culture, sports, leisure and entertainment for all across Izmir. In adult education, the state-managed public training center and professional training centers offer courses in various practical fields with a total of 100 trainers and 12,356 people including participants in literacy courses received courses in these establishments in 2006. Illiteracy is an issue almost exclusively restricted to new migrants into Bornova, and especially to women among these. There are also a number of private initiatives in the same field, such as the 29 companies offering driver's license courses. Although the necessity of extending such services further and deeper is a common concern frequently expressed at all levels. Professions: the total of district's commercial enterprises numbering 28,016, the figure reached by cumulating the total production, retail, wholesale units and connected offices neighbors around 45,000, which results in the picture of a very active district. 855 Bornova companies are registered exporters and a total amount of $596,224,735 could be estimated for 2006 as exports which were made by Bornova district companies. 83 companies with foreign capital participation operate in Bornova, and the recorded amount of foreign direct investments between 1997 to 2007 was $71,928,267. Among instantly recognizable international names which operate with sizable Bornova bases, BMC, Tuborg, Efes Pilsen, and CMS Tires can be cited. The textile and clothing wholesalers are concentrated in MTK Industrial and Marketing Zone, built specially for these industries. Bornova's vast plain has been a preferred location since more than a century for Izmir's industrial base. The choice of Bornova by numerous official institutions as their regional headquarters, combined with the services industry, with medical and legal services especially standing out, as well as other professions, all contribute to the pace of the district. Agricultural production is comparatively very modest in added value. Shopping and leisure. One of the two largest shopping malls of Izmir, Forum Bornova, extending over 67,000 square meters, is located in Bornova, and it includes an IKEA store, a Tesco Kippa superstore, 7 movie theaters, and other leisure and entertainment facilities. Bornova's other shopping mall, Park Bornova, was at 33,000 square meters. Izmir's largest at the time of its opening and the first to fit the description of a modern shopping mall in the city. It is still Izmir's largest outlet center and boasts of its own movie theaters, 8-lane indoor bowling and an entertainment center with various games. Bornova's open market days or bazaars are also well known in the region, and a surprising variety of fresh fruits, vegetables, clothing, kitchenware and crafted products can be found by joining the youthful crowd of the market. There are 3 theatre buildings in Bornova, the one located inside the town's central park, Argur MUMCU Theatre being the most popular. The one museum located within Bornova is the university's large natural history museum, integrated into the university structure, and it is the second largest in Turkey in its field after that MTA in Ankara. There are 5 libraries with a collection of books numbering 32,378 in total and 3 congress centers, all 3 privately managed within the structure of Bornova's single large hotel. 279 parks in all, almost all with playfields for children, are scattered across Bornova. The Pınarbaşı racing circuit for go-kart and motorcycle racing is situated in Pınarbaşı, Bornova, which is Turkey's second longest, covering an area of 25 hectares, 7 swimming pools, 8 tennis courts, 2 indoor sports halls, 4 soccer fields and 54 basketball fields compose Bornova's sports infrastructure. 8,591 licensed sports persons inhabit the district. 5 newspapers are published in Bornova and 2 radio stations are in activity. The total number of cable TV subscriptions is 27,066. 412 civil associations are registered in Bornova and the total number of their members is 36,525. There are about 100 mosques and 3 churches, including the abandoned, but still in reasonably good condition, Greek Orthodox Church in Dokkanlı neighborhood. A large recreational area which bears Homer's name, to whom Izmir lays one of the strongest claims, is in phase of construction in a 3.5 kilometers long valley to the northeast of Bornova center, and it is already very popular among residents. Although located at some distance from the poet's native river Melis, the choice of the name may be historically disputable for pedantics. There is also a Roman bridge on part of the river Nif, which crosses Bornova district area. The mountain passage at the locality called Belkov, where, coming from the east, one sees Izmir for the very first time and in a very impressive panorama, is within Bornova district and is now arranged into a park and picnic area in memory of one such impressed incomer in 1922, Ataturk. Efforts are also made to preserve, restore and promote the picturesque village of Yakaköy with many old houses and fountains in Turkish style.